Welcome to the Turing Test, your daily deep dives podcast. Today, we're diving into the nitty-gritty of teaching an old AI new tricks versus simply, whispering smarter prompts.
Absolutely. We're talking fine-tuning, LoRa adapters, and the whole cost versus value debate. It's like choosing between remodeling your classic car or renting a slick new ride.
Right, exactly. Let's kick things off with cost versus value. You know, modern giants like GPT-4.1 Nano are insanely affordable, training for pennies per 1,000 tokens.
Yep.
But the fine-tuning invoice can balloon when you need tens of thousands of examples, plus continuous monitoring.
Yeah, it's like you can rent a car for a night without any long-term commitment versus buying one where you're stuck with all the maintenance and mortgage-like costs.
Absolutely. And here's a cool example. A fintech we chatted with trimmed their loan approval response time from 8 seconds down to 2 seconds after fine-tuning Nano on 50,000 annotated cases. Speed is money, and they paid once for benefits every single day, which is pretty impressive.
Right, but what if the domain shifts, like when regulators tweak the language out of the blue? Fine-tuning might drift, correct?
Spot on. When that happens, a prompt-only workflow comes in clutch. You can swap in new system instructions overnight. It's agile and flexible.
Exactly. So essentially, if your domain changes once a week, the dynamic nature of prompt engineering seems more practical than locking in a heavy fine-tune investment.
Totally. Rule of thumb. Fine-tune when you need that razor-consistent tone and super-fast, structured outputs, even sub-100 ms latencies. But for those tasks where scope changes every other day, your prompt tweaks are your best friend.
Now, jumping over to parameter-efficient fine-tuning, tricks like LoRA, it's almost like the default game changer now.
Yes. Oh yeah. GroqCloud's rollout is a prime example. Enterprises are literally hot-swapping tiny LoRa adapters while keeping the massive base model frozen. It cuts costs by over 70%, all while maintaining the same low latency, which is absolutely brilliant.
And that reminds me of the research updates, LoRA-squared, published as recently as August 2024, stacks multi-scale low-rank layers. Imagine training only 0.72% of the parameters and still matching full fine-tunes on benchmarks. That's pretty, bonkers.
It's like you're tweaking 3 Instagram photos instead of redecorating the entire mansion.
Right.
But still, you get the performance boost without the heavy GPU memory and massive checkpoint files.
Exactly. And even rollback becomes trivial if any compliance issues pop up. One misbehaving dataset, and you simply roll the adapter back.
Now, moving on to reinforcement fine-tuning versus supervised fine-tuning. Oh man, this one's a hoot. OpenAI just opened the door on RFT with their O4 mini line.
Right? Reinforcement fine-tuning, RFT, where you reward good chain of thought and actually have the model self-improve. It's kind of like coaching a chess grandmaster mid-match, isn't it?
Exactly, but let's be honest, it's tricky. Designing that reward function is like half rigorous science, half mystical seance.
Yeah, true. Meanwhile, the old school supervised fine-tuning, feeding in QA pairs, is much like a classroom setting, structured and predictable, though it might plateau on more challenging reasoning tasks.
Right, but many teams aren't picking sides. They're starting with supervised to lock in style, then sprinkling in a few rounds of RFT to polish those edge cases, like for sarcasm detection in customer emails.
A smart blend for sure. Although, I wonder, don't you think the extra time for reward engineering in RFT might sometimes offset its benefits?
I see your point, but if precision under uncertainty is critical, a bit of extra time can be well worth the improved, nuanced responses, especially in high-stakes environments.
True enough. And speaking of high stakes, let's not skip the open weight bombshell. Reuters just dropped that news in April 2025. OpenAI is releasing raw model weights for the first time since GPT-2.
That shot is huge. Now anyone can LoRa tune a frontier-grade model on premises, which is a dream come true for sectors like healthcare or defense, where pushing data to the cloud is often a risk. They finally get control over their data.
Though I'd be remiss not to note that open weights come with leakage risks. A compromised adapter could inject bias or even malware-like prompts. That's a serious governance issue.
Absolutely. It's like handing out car keys without tracking who drives. If one rogue adapter gets in at inference time, it can hijack outputs.
Yep, which brings us to our final point for today. Fine-tuning versus retrieval augmented generation, or RAG.
Yes. So, RAG plugs your external knowledge base right into the prompt at runtime. It's perfect for tasks like keeping up with, say, the ever-changing tax codes. Fine-tuning, on the other hand, essentially bakes the knowledge in for a stable style or repeated instructions.
Sometimes you even see a blend, like a lightly LoRa-tuned nano model that still fetches the latest product SKUs via RAG. Best of both worlds.
Exactly. It's a bit like having your cake and eating it, with a cherry on top. The model gets the fresh updates when needed while retaining its bespoke style from the fine-tuning.
So, when we sum things up, there are 3 takeaways here. First, always assess the frequency of domain changes. If your operational landscape shifts on a monthly basis, prompt engineering might be more viable.
Right. Second, make full use of parameter-efficient fine-tuning methods, whether it's LoRA or the newer LoRA-squared, to slash costs and simplify compliance headaches.
And third, for tasks where correctness under uncertainty is paramount, explore reinforcement fine-tuning. Just remember to budget extra time for reward function engineering.
Exactly. And let's keep our eyes peeled on open-weight releases. They could democratize fine-tuning just as GitHub did for code distribution.
Absolutely. It's fascinating how these innovations are reshaping the landscape. But I sometimes wonder if smaller companies might struggle with the complexity of mixing these advanced techniques.
That's a fair point. While open weights and PEFT can slash costs, the shift in managing multiple adapters and dynamic prompt workflows can be challenging. It calls for a more mature ML ops setup, which not every organization has yet.
I agree. Definitely. It's a balancing act, innovation versus operational complexity. But it's exciting to see where this will all lead.
Absolutely exciting. Each advancement, whether fine-tuning, prompt engineering, or RAG, is like adding a new tool to the AI toolbox. And each tool has its best use case scenario.
Right on. And that's what keeps this field so vibrant. It's a constant juggle of trade-offs, but the reward is smarter, more agile AI systems.
Well said. So to all our listeners, assess your needs, experiment with prompt engineering if the dynamics demand agility, and lean on fine-tuning when consistency is king. Embrace PEFT for cost savings, and remember the governance risks with open weights.
A dynamic mix of strategies is essential. Keep iterating, keep innovating, and don't be afraid to challenge the status quo, even if that means rethinking your reward functions or your prompt templates.
That's our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining the ride on the Turing Test. Keep those ideas brewing and those models learning.
And if you've got opinions, both good and bad, drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.